we got a lot of information for Season 6 and the PTR coming, so we're going to try and run down through everything as condensed as possible. If you want to take a more detailed look, I've put a link to the PTR patch notes for Season 6 in the description down below. But let's dive in and see what we can expect coming Season 6 with what they've revealed. So starting in Season 6, we're going to be switching from a new max level of 100 to 60. So what this is going to actually bring for us is we get 10 extra skill points on top of the skill points we had. We're going to be getting new difficulties as well, and also adjustments to players' health, damage, and armor, just so it becomes easier to read for us, so we're not getting those big numbers we are seeing today in Diablo 4. Monsters are being adjusted to give us a more smooth challenge. So what this means is basically based on whatever difficulty you're using, the minions, elite bosses now are going to have a fixed HP relative to the normal monsters. The monsters are going to scale based on pit tier. The monsters always will match the player level. They're also making some mechanic changes so that we're one shot less often and the bosses are less damage sponges, and so it should make the progression feel a lot smoother when going through these fights with bosses and just even the regular monsters. So as you can see in the chart here, each of the pit tiers are associated with a difficulty and also kind of gets tied into how you will unlock the torment difficulties using the pit as well. The difficulties will be separated into two groups. You got your standard, so before you hit the end game, you're going to have normal, hard, expert, and penitent. And then once you get to the end game, you can start unlocking the torment tiers, which are torments 1 to 4. So whereas world tiers currently are kind of a progression lock, the new difficulties don't act as a progression lock system. It's more of an opt-in system. So what this means is you can still progress your character on any difficulty, but the speed at which you progress will be affected by the difficulty. So the higher the difficulty, the more gold, the more experience, and the more loot you're going to get to be able to reach that ultimate build you're trying to build towards. But if you're playing the lower difficulties, you still are going to find those high level rewards. It just might be at a much slower pace. All the difficulties are actually tied to the pit levels. So normal, hard, expert, penitent are 5 pit tier levels apart from each other, where torments are 15 pit tiers apart from each other. The difficulty tiers derive from the monster health, damage, and intensity associated with that pit tier. To unlock the torment tiers, the pit unlocks at level 60, and then after that, you got to complete the pit tier 20 to unlock torment 1. And then 35 and so on until you unlock pit tier 4. So conquering the pit that matches a torment tier unlocks that pit tier for you. We have more itemization changes now that we have switched to the new max level of 60. So at level 60, the max item power level is 750 for your standard items. And from level 51 to 59, we're going to see a significant power jump from what they are describing here. We'll see how that plays out in the PTR. So now we're going to talk about ancestral items. Starting Torment 1, ancestral items will begin to drop. They will become more common the higher torment difficulty you are running. The ancestral items are now what you are going to desire for your end game item, because they're going to be quite the power jump for your characters you are playing, because they actually have an item power limit of 800. They're guaranteed 1 greater affix on them. They get 2 tempering slots, and they can be masterworked up to 12, where the standard items will only have 1 temper slot and can only be masterworked up to rank 4. Also, aspects are getting an additional tier associated with these ancestral items. And just one quick little fact here, sacred items no longer exist. Glyphs are getting a big change. So now the way glyphs work, instead of a max rank of 21, it is now 100. The glyph rarities have been reworked, So they still get the radius increase at 15, but now they also get an additional one at rank 46, where it also will get a multiplicative multiplier of damage of some sort attached to it, as well as another radius increase, and the glyph will become legendary at that time. You can level up your glyphs through the pit. If you're familiar with Diablo 3 and their legendary gem system, it will work very similar to that for leveling up your glyphs. So the way it'll work is if you are 10 pit tiers different between your glyph and the pit tier you're running, it'll guarantee success. And if you're 20 pit tiers, you will get a bonus rank to your glyphs as you're leveling them up. A big change coming with the Paragon is we're going to get an extra 100 Paragon points that we can earn through leveling up our Paragon through the season. On top of that, Paragon points will be tied to a realm. So if you unlock all 300 Paragon points on your softcore character, anytime you get level 60 with one of your softcore characters, you'll have access to those Paragon points. Then the same goes for the hardcore. With the changes to Paragons, there's also the changes to the Paragon Boards. Players can only equip up to 5 Paragon Boards, including the starter board. Each class will receive a new board with a major progression update, and each board has been tuned with major progression updates in mind for this. We're definitely, as a community, I'd say a little bit skeptical on this one, but we'll see how it plays out in the PTR and see if they can need to make changes after we get a chance to dive in and test this out. Big changes coming to tempering. Weapon tempering is now always going to be multiplicative damage increases, and there's new affixes for chance to deal double damage and chance to hit twice to add to some of the tempering manuals that may not have had this for certain skills. Offensive tempering affixes are additive damage increases. Size and duration affixes have been moved to utility, and tempering recipes have been limited to a max of 4. So this should help in getting those tempers you want on your gear. Ultimates are going to work a lot like regular skills now, where you're going to be able to put up to 5 ranks in a skill. Those ranks are going to increase the damage and reduce the cooldown. The effects that grant skill points to a particular skill are not only going to affect the one ultimate you actually have selected. You can't play an all ultimate build, as you can still only have one ultimate skill equipped at a time. Then another small note, each class did get a new skill and some new passives. So if you are wanting to check those out, though, I recommend going to the PTR patch notes and taking a look at those changes, because it'll be far too much to cover in this video today. We're getting some new mythic uniques as well being added to the game, which you can see here. There's also one more mythic that is in the PTR patch notes that you can check out as well. We're getting a bunch of quality of life changes. We're getting a preferred town portal, so whenever you portal back, you'll go to the preferred town. You're getting a dungeon key inventory. The CC for normal monsters is being reworked, so it's more soft stuns than hard stuns, so no stuns or knockdowns or dazed. It'll be replaced with things like immobilize and knockback. Monsters with long death animations now will die instantly, which is going to be a great change. We're also getting a socketable inventory tab, a stash tab. Dungeon midpoints have been removed from Nightmare Dungeons, and that was actually already in effect this season, which has been a great change. A couple of dungeons have had their procedural logic updated to increase some more variety. Level up and Paragon point notifications also will show you how many points you have to spend now. And the big system coming to the Vessel of Hatred expansion is Rune Words. So here are some of the rules you're going to need to know about how the Rune Words are going to work. They can be only socketed in items that have 2 socket slots. With that in mind, the helmet has been added an additional socket slot. You can only have a maximum of 2 rune words equipped. You can't have the same runes twice. Runes are available only if you have the expansion. Runes stack and will be stored in the new socketable inventory tab. And yes, runes are tradable. With runes, you are going to be able to get other class skills. And class is sharing 2 skills and 1 aspect. Some casts improved versions. You always cast the best possible version if you have upgrades. And yes, there is crafting associated with Rune Words. So Rune Crafting, if you use 3 runes of the same name, you can use them to roll a new rune. The crafted rune is guaranteed to be different, and magic and rare runes are used. There's a chance for them to roll up to a higher quality rune. Also, you'll be able to use stacks of multiple runes to craft mythic uniques at the jeweler. Each mythic unique is going to be available to be crafted, but will require specific runes and a resplendent spark. Mind you, the old way of using 4 resplendent sparks to craft a mythic is still going to be available for crafting your mythic uniques. I 100% recommend checking out the PTR notes just so you can fully understand how the runes are going to work and what runes are going to be available on Friday next week for the PTR when we get to test the rune words out. And holy crap, that was a lot of stuff for us to cover today. Are you excited to try out these changes in the PTR next week? Are you looking forward to the Vessel of Hatred expansion on October 8th? Let me know in the comments, and we'll catch you next time when we're going to dive deep into the Season 6 Grizzly Rage Shred Druid. Until next time, my friends.